We got to talk about Raw, which I abhorred last night. And sometimes I don't think that a Raw show is very good, and I got to hear all the blowback from the fans that want to try to convince me that, in fact, it was good. I will not hear that today. Do you understand? I will not hear that Raw was good last night. It was terrible. Show was 3 hours long. In 3 hours, there were literally 2 babyface wins. One of them was Apollo over Jinder Mahal, if that even counts. And the other one was the Drifter beating Dolph Ziggler, which is a good thing because, like, the babyface won, but that match went like 15 minutes. It was so boring. It was brutal. They killed the crowd. And aside from that, every single thing on the show was about getting heat, making people miserable. If you were sick of Roman Reigns and the leukemia thing, that got brought up again. We also had the destruction of Natty's dead father's sunglasses to get heat in the first match on the show. That's how we kicked the show off here. We had Seth Rollins having to face both of AOP. They destroyed him and won the tag team titles. Then Dean Ambrose came out and destroyed Seth Rollins again. We had the Kurt Angle promo, which we'll get to in a moment. Nia versus Ember Moon. Nia beat her, and then her and Tamina came out and destroyed Ember Moon. Nia and Tamina, literally dead silence in the crowd. You could hear a pin drop for that turn. Then we had the Finn Balor match with Lashley. You'll never guess. Lashley beat Finn Balor. So then after Finn gets, not only does Finn get pinned, then Drew McIntyre comes out and he lays him out and humiliates him. Then we got Drew versus Angle, the main event, and you'll never guess. Drew humiliates the Olympic champion, stuffs all of his takedowns, calls him a loser and a failure, taps him out with his own move. I am not making any of this up. And somebody on our board last night, I can't even, I suppose I could go find the exact thread, but it was basically, why do people watch Raw? And I'm not going to go that far because I do watch Raw every week. And when I went to Crown Point, I mean, I still had to watch the top matches for Crown Jewel, even though I didn't have to. Dave and Garrett were covering the show. Mike was covering the show. But I still watched it because I'm a fan. But I watched this Raw show, and I had the same damn question. Why do people watch this show? It was astonishing to me. What a miserable 3 hours that was if you're a fan.
I ask that a lot, but I always, sometimes I chalk it up to, well, maybe I'm just old. Maybe there are people that just aren't as offended, or they don't understand this, or, you know, they understand it and I can't comprehend it. I mean, last night was a great example of that. They needed some chicken soup for the soul on the way of coming out of Saudi Arabia.
Gallows and Anderson, the best tag team in the world, cheated by 2 nerds. I don't care how big, how tough, or what they've accomplished. They're nerds, they're geeks, they're dweebs, they're beneath us. We would have stolen their lunch money had this been grade school.
Look what we have here.
Yeah, couple of nerds.
It's what we do. We'll put these things on the line. We don't care.
RDS. Nerds. They are, and so are you, pal. Well. Look what we have here, Karlski.
Yeah.
Bada boom. Biggest nerds in the room. How are you doing?
You guys all right?
You damn sure aren't Gallows and Anderson. The fairy tale is over. You're 3 nerds, glad hand in a tuba, and we're about to break that SOB over your head. Tell them.
Look, I'm even getting texts from AJ Styles.
Uncle Alex.
Yes, that nerd is telling you about the title match that we already knew about in his accent.
Gallows, Anderson.
No. Shut up. Nerd. Shut up, you stupid nerd. Nerds.
Wait. Too sweet.
Later. Nerd.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 131 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Johnny Gargano's channeling his inner Darth Vader. The Shield are still broken up, and we haven't heard a word from Dean Ambrose. We're a week and a half away from Survivor Series, and all hell's breaking loose in the political world. Welcome, everybody, to the program. My name is Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshy. I'm alongside the one and only Adam Daley. What's going on, my man?
And take it off mute there. What's going on, good brother? It's another day in the neighborhood. We got something special planned for everybody later on. And yeah, man, I don't know. I guess that's what we're in. We're happy birthday, Chris Jericho. I believe that was the 7th. Or I think it's the 9th. Maybe it's the 9th. Either or. I think it's the 9th there.
Yeah, this is a weekly reminder that Chris Jericho's a nut. He just conquered the Jericho Cruise. He performed at Power Struggle in the main event this past Saturday. And he's on a New Zealand tour with Fozzy right now. So this guy doesn't know the word of sleep. And as somebody who appreciates hustle and work ethic, I'll never take that away from the Ayatollah of rock and roll, man. That guy is a worker. Brother.
Listen, he's been building his brand for a long time. So, it's good to see, the fruits of his labor really paying off in so many different directions.
Ladies and gentlemen, you could check out the podcast every single Thursday on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast from. If you're listening to this on a Sunday or Monday, we appreciate it too. Anytime you listen to the podcast, we appreciate the support. Leave us an honest review rating of the show, and we'll always be open to any suggestions you have for this particular podcast. Want to give a shout out to all our loyal good brothers and sisters who check out the podcast, like Patrick Fritz, Brandon, Sam, Nick for the UK. Shout out to MJ. Check out her podcast, Ringside Revolution. Shout out to the boys at Rant with Dant as well. And again, shout out to you, the listener who's listening to this nonsense right now, as we're here to have some fun and kill some time to get our minds off real life issues. We're here to talk some professional wrestling today. We had a pay-per-view this past Friday from Saudi Arabia that was finished. We'll touch on that a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more about this week's Raw and SmackDown from Manchester. It was really big, heavy promotion for Survivor Series because remember, folks, there was a quick turnaround from Crown Jewel to Survivor Series. So Survivor Series is a week from this Sunday. We'll talk about some of the scenarios and matches for that pay-per-view. I'll touch in some of the stuff that happened from NXT as well, catch up Adam on that point of view. And also, I may sprinkle in some thoughts about New Japan Pro Wrestling. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Lucha Underground. They just finished season 4 last night. If you haven't watched Lucha Underground, I totally recommend it. Some of the cliffhangers for season 5 will really make your jaw drop. I'll say this though, there is a man who used to work for the WWE who's the boss of the temple now, and he has some bad news for everybody. I can't wait for season 5. Lucha Underground Ultima Lucha Cuatro last night was fantastic. Please check out Lucha Underground. Shout out to Chris Joseph, Matt Stryker, Eric Van Wagenen, everybody from Lucha Underground, because it's a show that's out of the box when it comes to their stories. The matches are fun. It's just a cool-ass atmosphere. I haven't had a chance to check out a show in person, but those fans that go to the show each time for the tapings, they're awesome, and it's a really cool environment. So go check out Lucha Underground. And that's pretty much it for the wraparound. But besides that, good bro, how was your weekend?
It was wild. The weekend was wild. It was good though. Relaxing, chilled out, didn't do much. Got my laughs in with SNL. Pete Davidson got to chill out though, like I say every week. Like I think I cross lines, man. Like, and I love Pete Davidson. I'm a big Pete Davidson fan, but I think I've been saying this now for a couple months. Maybe we should check on him. No, man, listen, simple is good. Simple is good, and I like to keep my weekends as simplistic as possible, especially with the holidays coming up. Just got over a couple birthdays and Halloween, so when you're a little bit older and wiser and have to and your responsibilities lie more with what's going on with the family versus yourself, I just like to take these weeks to kind of relax. 'Cause it's not like I got to get fired up about my Raiders. We're just having a wholesale fire sale. Like everything must go. So.
Everything must go. I'll give you props for last week. I was trying to pump up the Raiders a little bit, and you're like, "Nah, this is gonna get ugly," and it ended up being that way.
It's gonna be ugly. It's gonna be ugly for a minute, but I actually do think for everybody that thinks I'm like trying to bash my team, because it's like I'm not being the like bash my team guy because I'm being negative about them. I do think this is all pardon the pun, but best for business. I think this is best for business, and I don't think please don't attack me, Josh and or Chicago Bears fans, but I think we are seeing how both teams did benefit greatly from this trade, because if we were the Oakland Raiders right now and we were 1-8 and we were paying Khalil Mack that kind of money and he didn't even play half the season, how dumb would we look?
Yeah.
Because it was going to be the same. It really was, guys. Like, don't think that Khalil Mack was going to change this team around. And it's because he just wasn't, you know. So I do, now that the season's playing out, I feel better about these 5 first-round draft picks we have in the next 2 years.
We got some good news this week from the Chicago end. Looks like Mack and Robinson are back to action this week, so we'll be ready for the Detroit Lions. Big stretch of games coming up for the Bears. 3 games in 12 days, all against divisional opponents. We got Detroit, Minnesota at home. They changed the game from afternoon to Sunday Night Football, the night of Survivor Series. Screw you, Roger Goodell, because as much as I would love to see the Bears on Sunday Night Football, I am a wrestling fan, and Survivor Series is one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year, so screw you. And then the couple days after that, we got the Lions at home for the annual Thanksgiving game, which kind of brings to mind, like, I agree with you. Like, during this time period, I just like to relax and just do what I gotta do to keep my mind off of things. But coming from an Italian and Puerto Rican household, sometimes, especially Thanksgiving or Christmas, is a stressful environment, and I don't know why that is. I don't know why we apply so much stress, meaningless stress, for holidays are not that important. To be honest with you, especially Thanksgiving. If you're not thankful to spend time with your family every single day, I think that's more of a reflection on you than, we need a holiday to embrace how thankful we are for the people in our lives.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I really don't have much, and I'm actually getting yelled at by everybody in my life, including my therapist, that I need more of a social life. Listen, man, I did all that stuff, and I kind of just always wanted to be the homebody family man that just, it's, the whole bar running around scene was, that really wasn't even me when I was doing it. I was just really doing it to silence a hell of a lot of demons and really just hang out with the wrong crowd and get in as much trouble as possible, It's nothing I'm proud of. I have a lot of regrets about my 20s. So, I don't look at it as far as I go. Yeah, I'm with my family every day. I really don't. It's rare when I go out, without my family. So, but that's just me though. I'm not saying that's, other people's stuff is their stuff. It's what's right is right. I'm not saying what's right or anything like that. But I agree, Josh. I don't think that it's a shame that even do we even look forward to like certain holidays anymore? Have you noticed that like certain holidays are becoming like the circles are becoming like smaller and smaller just because of the division,
Yeah. Like, for me, I don't feel as indifferent to holidays just because I'm getting older. I feel indifferent towards it because I don't know why we have to put an act on for certain holidays. Mm-hmm. I just don't. Like I mentioned a couple minutes ago, if you're not thankful for the days you get to spend with your family, especially if you work a lot of hours throughout the week and stuff like that, if you're not grateful for the family members that sacrifice a lot of their time to provide for their family. I mean that it's just common sense. I'm not opposed to families coming together and hanging out and having celebrations and stuff, but I don't know why we make this big thing like, hey, Columbus Day was a work. I don't believe in Christopher Columbus. I don't. I went to school, and even then, like, that stuff is not fully accurate. Christmas, it's a little bit more different. I mean, I know some people get in their feelings about Christmas because it's religious and it has to do with God, and I'm not taking anything away from that. Like, you do what you do, like, religious-wise. Like, I'm not going to attack anybody for their beliefs for that. I'm not that type of person. But, like, again, I kind of correlate Christmas to Thanksgiving to Easter. Like, coming from an Italian family, I feel like I've been more bogged down with the traditions of Thanksgiving and Easter and Christmas and how you have to act on those certain days. And me personally, I don't relate to that in a lot of ways. Like, it's just another day to spend time with your family. If you can't be yourself just because it's a certain holiday or you need to act a certain way to impress family members, I don't know what to tell you because I'm not that type of person.
Well, this is just how petty the world's becoming, and this is just a story where, what age does matter. Sometimes, when you hear certain stories, because this is a first-hand story. I always used to say Happy Holidays, just because I bundled Christmas and listen, I'm not a religious person, but I also respect and help. It's the best way of saying this. Just because I don't practice faith doesn't mean that I don't want other people to practice faith. I respect and promote other people's religious beliefs and their freedoms to practice any religion that they choose to. That being said, I choose not to. But that doesn't change anything. I mean, because, like when you're a little kid, everyone tries to do this other thing, but, tell you what it's about. But I always bundled Christmas and New Year's together because I love New Year's so much. So I'd always tell people happy holidays. And this is like back in the 1980s when I'm like a little kid, right? Still in single digits. Right. And like, especially the early 80s, mid 80s, people used to think it was so adorable and cute, and oh, how cute that he thinks of all these holidays. And you try to say like happy holidays to someone now, like even my daughter's age, someone would try to lecture her in public. Like a stranger, that's where we're at though. Like a stranger would try and be like, well, don't you know what the holiday's for? Well, you're taking Christ out of Christ. It's like, no, maybe she just likes New Year's too. I don't know. Yeah. That's just, but I mean, that's just how increasingly petty that, that we can't even say just either Merry, like, and the other thing is like, if somebody says Merry Christmas to you, you don't have to get offended by it. You know what I mean? All you have to do is be like, hey, happy holidays. And then if they say happy holidays back to you, you don't have to get offended by it. As long as you're greeting each other, who cares? It's a beautiful thing as long as that's why I don't know. It's funny that we hear all this snowflake talk, but in the snowiest, what's supposed to be the snowiest holiday of them all, snowflakes seem to come out. A little oversensitivity comes out. Yeah.
No shit.
Neither here nor there.
Well, there's a reason I'm bringing those because there's a little different bounce that I have to deal with. Adam knows that I'm half Italian and half Puerto Rican. My dad's side of the family.
I'm half Italian, half stupid. So.
My dad's side of the family is more laid back and just like regular, and the Italian side, I think you can relate to this, Brother Joseph. It's more over the top and obnoxious in your face when it comes to certain holidays.
Yeah, it's too much. Listen, I went into a Family Dollar. I ain't ashamed. I shop at the Family Dollar. But I went into Family Dollar on my birthday, October 27th. I walked in. They were already taking Halloween stuff down, putting Christmas stuff up. I tripped. It was like Hannibal Buress in a comedy. What the hell? I'm like just screaming. And these poor women, like they know me from going in there all the time. They're laughing their ass off. It was like a mini meltdown. Yeah. I don't need Christmas stuff before my birthday. I have a rule on that. And I don't talk Christmas or snow before October.
No
27th.
Christmas songs for you?
Nah. Listen, we'll worry about that after Thanksgiving. I like to take my holidays one at a time here.
Have you heard any of them on the radio yet? And you have to be like, nope, next.
No, I got Sirius XM. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, they started that here. It's brutal. They'll start playing marathon Christmas songs on the certain rock stations, which is kind of sad because there is still some good rock music, even if it's not from this era of rock music. I don't know. I don't feel the need to listen to Jingle Bells on November the 8th as we're recording this right now. Let's move on real quick. Crown Jewel is Friday, and it was a little different day for me because for foreclosure, I work on Friday during the day during my shift at the tattoo shop. So Monday and Tuesday I work at nights, and then Fridays I work during the day. So Crown Jewel started at 11 o'clock my time in Chicago. It started out in noon time out there in the East Coast or wherever you live from. And Crown Jewel was live, and I caught a couple moments here and there live as it was happening, and I saw some stuff on Twitter, but I didn't get a chance to watch the full show until I got home that night and did the article that night for my website. So my Crown Jewel thoughts were sporadic throughout the day because I saw some things here and there, and then I got to digest the show a little bit after the fact. And I think we've done a good job here on the podcast, just making the point that it's okay to have different perspectives on the show, even if you're not watching it live. And maybe you get a better appreciation for a show. And if the show's that bad, then, it is what it is. Like, I feel like for me, like, I've become immune to having my feelings on a show based on what Twitter tells me, like, I just don't look at things that way. I'm not I don't have a microwave mentality in a way. I saw some things with you know, every wrestling show, especially if it's a WWE produced show, you're going to have your section of people who love the show, and you're going to have just some people who are not going to give the show a chance no matter what happens on the show. So for me, Crown Jewel was the same show I thought it was going to be, as we were talking about it last week. You know, I wasn't expecting anything earth shattering. You know, I brought up the news about Hulk Hogan last week. It was what it was. I moved on from it. I saw it too, which was just pretty funny. It's like,
yeah, I just didn't need it. That's just personal though.
Yeah, I know, bro. Like, you know, stuff like that. Like, I don't know why it's hard for people to understand that it's okay to ignore things that you don't give a shit about, you know? Even if you're not watching live, if you don't want to see Hulk Hogan, fast forward. They got that option for you on the WWE Network, just like any other streaming device out there. Other stuff like, you know, I kind of felt bad about what was going on with the World Cup, because I'm kind of, humbly speaking, I feel like I'm really good with gauging certain things that happen for a certain reason, especially like if a decision comes out of nowhere, like Shane McMahon winning the World Cup. Like for me personally, with doing these articles each week, I felt like I would have had a gauge on that. And I kind of mentioned it last week in a way where Shane was making such an emphasis that SmackDown had to beat Raw to win this World Cup, right? Because it's all bragging rights. And after seeing what happened at Crown Jewel, I realized that it was either whoever won the World Cup was going to get a title shot, or this was going to lead into Raw versus SmackDown at Survivor Series. And I think a lot of what happened at Crown Jewel was setting up Survivor Series in a way, especially Shane McMahon, because why was he at ringside? Why is he putting a stipulation if a SmackDown guy lost to Raw?
Why was he already in your wife beater, like oiled up?
Yeah. Right. Like there's things you could, little trigger points you can figure out when certain things are going to happen. And in a way, I kind of feel good about that, and I did see that coming, you know? I don't feel like it's a bad thing. It made sense. He's like, I'm not having Stephanie beat me under any circumstances. Yes, of course, I would love to see Miz have the gimmick. I'm using air quotes here. The gimmick, the moniker being the best world. He had an awesome performance that night. I mean,
I'll admit though, I have to get this out there, and I understand why they're doing this whole best in the world thing, and it's because it's a double-edged sword. They know that they're going to get a reaction out of all fans, you know. It's just now, it was funny at first, and then it was like kind of annoying, then it was funny again. Now it's like, just fucking stop. Like it's almost become, they've been like just pushing this best in the world down our throats so much. It's like, you know what, then you've actually devalued your own title. They've already devalued that own title. So to me, I'm not going to say that the tournament was all for naught, because it's obviously leading to something storyline wise, and I think that's the bigger picture that everybody needs to look at. So I'm totally okay in hindsight with it. But it's funny though, because I was kind of watching it. I was working while it was on, so that was in the background, and I was kind of working during the event. Certain matches I'd stop, put something down, eat something like during that match, this match or whatever. But my daughter, who does PA Cyber, she kind of was like on her lunch break, would watch a little bit. Then she had to go back in school for a little while. Then, when she was done with her school day, she came in and, we watched the rest of it and stuff. So, I'll say this. You know what, man? I think that this was, it was a lot. The Miz spot at first, I'll admit, it got me, because I was doing work and I looked up and I thought, holy shit, he really is hurt. And I sent you a message and I was like, man, that sucks. And I just kept working, not thinking about it. And it was my daughter that was like, he's not hurt. She's playing into his character. And I was like, and that's when he was going, I've never been hurt. And that's when my daughter, she was like that. He's totally playing into the character. I went, huh, you're right. I just went back to like doing work and stuff like that, So, for me, I guess somebody that was kind of watching like with a half, blind eye, it right. Caught me in that moment that we're supposed to suspend our disbelief, right? So in that moment, I'll admit it was like kind of cool to be like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing now. But at first it was, I felt bad for Miz because I just wasn't paying as close enough attention to really catch if it was a real injury or not. But all things considered, I mean, I do think that there's going to be a couple good things coming out of it. I already like the whole Daniel Bryan Miz chemistry that came out of this. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. And this is definitely setting up, more things for Survivor Series, but yeah, I don't know. I obviously I'm not really on social media as much. What was the vibe about the pay-per-view? I mean, did people end up watching that said they weren't going to watch, or like what, how did it all play out?
Well, from what I saw, was like I thought a lot of people liked the matches from the tournament standpoint, and I would agree with them. Like, the Randy Orton Rey Mysterio match, even though it was like 6 minutes long, I thought was pretty good. Dolph Ziggler and Kurt Angle, I thought Angle did a better job than I thought he was going to do in that match. The Ziggler Rollins match, the semifinal match, that was really good as well. So there was a lot of praise for how the matches were coming out, and like some of the introductions, like the ring announcer Greg Hamilton was doing with like the titles and
those were
who did that.
huh?
Yeah.
I thought we were going to start getting blood type, height, weight, first date, homecoming ranking. Like it was getting deep there for a second.
Relationship status.
It was wild. Yeah, I felt like I was reading like a Grindr account or something. You're welcome.
Yeah, so they had that, and then I know a lot of people liked the stage that they had. That sucker was huge. Jeremy was telling me about that. Like, how big was that LED screen they had? Jesus Christ.
Right.
I think the last time we saw a screen that big, you were there for it. It was WrestleMania 27, and how they stretched out that stage with the screen. If you guys watch WrestleMania 27, compare that to the screen size for Crown Jewel. Let me know what you guys think of it. So, going back to the show, like I felt like a lot of people got salty because Shane McMahon won the World Cup, and it's like, oh, it's semantics. You said, oh, we're gonna figure out the best world, and a guy who wasn't in the tournament won the yada 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 bubble bubble bubble. And then the next thing they moaned about was Samoa Joe not winning the title. I mean, Stevie Wonder could figure out that AJ Styles was going to retain that match. And then lastly, I don't know about you, brother, but I didn't really hear much about the DX Brothers of Destruction match.
I actually dug that match more than I thought I would. Shawn Michaels still got it, Yeah. I mean, dude can still go. Yeah. That was my concern, and I think it was, I think it's a fair concern, but my man went. Triple H, I mean, it shows how much these men and women care too. And obviously this was an all men's show, so but even with anytime a man or a woman steps through those ropes, it shows how much they care about performing for us. When Triple H, for all intents and purposes, he didn't really have to be on this card, Right. And then he goes out and tears his pectoral muscle. Shawn Michaels is, bleeding. Like these dudes, and they're laughing after the match. They're laughing about it. Like that. To me, that epitomizes what this is supposed to be about. Yeah. And actually, Josh, you know what? This is something I was going to talk about. I'm going to stop you right there. It's time for the first ever Daley Stop. So once a week, I'm going to stop you. I'm going to pull a con in. I'm going to let you finish. But I'm naming, Josh asked me to start doing a weekly segment. I'm naming it this in honor of my uncle because he used to own a bar that he called the Daley Stop. You can insert joke here. Listen, this is something I wanted to say about Crown Jewel because the biggest thing one of the biggest things that we were talking about last week was all of the political and social issues that were coming from the show. And Josh, that's kind of what I'm digging at. What was the vibe after the show? Did people watch? Were they still angry about it? Did everything kind of go away? Or was there still, how did people feel after the event? Because then I have a little thing that I want to talk about.
Well, I think besides the booking complaints, I think some of the political stuff was kind of quiet down with Renee being there at ringside.
That helped, I think. I think what helped. And you know what else helped? And this is kind of where I'm going to go into like a little thing here that Josh, you kind of asked me to do. So this is one thing where I wanted to start with this. Like, and I'll admit, I didn't really feel great about this per se. And I talked about it kind of a little bit last week, but I after watching it, and the biggest thing for me when I watched it, Josh, was not necessarily the show that they put on, how it was booked, anything like that. When you look at the fans, when you looked at the little kids in that arena or that stadium, and you looked at the fans, and when you take the political royal bullshit out of it, and you look at you and I that are sitting in the crowd, and you see the joy, the adulation, you see them popping, you hear them chanting, you hear, like, you just see, you know, it made me start to think about it a little bit differently, because here's the thing, man. If we're expecting professional wrestling in WWE to fix the world's problems, we've said this how many times, we are absolutely looking for the wrong outlets to save us. You know, I'd like to look at it this way, man. There's a lot of things going on in our country right now that outside of the United States, people don't agree with. And I'm not, listen, I love being an American. I'm not, you know, but I know when I get phone calls from my buddies over in the UK, it's usually either I'm sorry or they're laughing at me. It's funny. We all hear things that like Trump in America are like Darth Vader, but really he's more like Kylo Ren, you know, and I mean Kylo Ren in Black Klansman too. You just have to take the black off it and just leave it as Klansman. But anyway, I'm getting back to it. We're not this strong, like intimidating figure that we once were. And I just want to start to think there's a lot of countries that disagree with how we handle women's equality. We're better about LGBT rights now, but, you know, we never seem to care when our favorite band plays in Russia. We don't criticize them. We don't boycott them. We don't. In Russia right now, you know, if anybody out there is an ally of the LGBTQ community, that is illegal to them. I mean, it's not a good thing in Russia. It's very don't ask, don't tell. And by don't ask, don't tell, they mean shut the fuck up. Is what they mean in Russia if you're LGBT. But we never blink an eye. We never blink an eye when the Russian announce team's comes up on the screen. We never blink an eye when one of my favorite bands, Linkin Park, would go there every year for a big festival, because I would see it from the fans' point of view. I didn't see the politics behind it. We're looking at the Saudi Arabia situation because I don't want to say that the media has told us that. There's a lot of politics that really had nothing to do with the wrestling crowd. And although I wholeheartedly agree with the treatment of women over there needs to come forward a little bit and get progressive and get caught up with the times, we have to remember that Saudi Arabia, and I mean this to no disrespect to any Saudis that might be listening to this, is not as industrialized. It's not as modern it's not a modernized culture like the United States, the United Kingdom, different parts of Europe. And we have to understand that. In America, we are behind the rest of the world still when it comes to equal pay, when it comes to women, how women get treated in healthcare, how women get treated in the workplace. I mean, this whole, you know, let's look at the Me Too movement, the Time's Up movement, and that's just the tip of the iceberg of the unfair treatment. Do you know the United States, out of all the you know, the main countries, the United States has the highest rate of death of what pregnancy related deaths still. But we want to shut down Planned Parenthoods. We want to shut down women's clinics. We want to shut down all these things. And the rates are rising and rising and rising and rising. And nobody's paying attention because it's easy to follow the shiny mirror and follow whoever's on the television, just follow whatever they say. I feel like all of the mistreatment of WWE and a lot of like how we feel. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't feel a certain way about things in Saudi Arabia. But at the same time, we absolutely wouldn't like if other cultures came over here and tried to Germanize America. Anytime we think about changing something, people start going crazy about this being some sort of European socialist, blah, 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 blah. So imagine how we sound as professional wrestling fans trying to say what WWE should or should not do. And I get it. I get it because it's money and it feels like dirty money. And as a fan, you want but at the same time, we never criticize Ring of Honor for being on the Sinclair network and making a pretty penny off the Sinclair network. And Sinclair Broadcasting, which is hitting about 72% of Americans right now, is an extreme alt-right propaganda machine. 100%. Nobody blinks an eye. And I'm not saying you should take that out on Ring of Honor because we shouldn't. You know, Cody got asked about that not too long ago. Nobody cares about these things. And it's funny that we're trying to fix the world when we can't fix our own. You know, we had another shooting last night. We had one of those divided elections again, you know, ever. We have, you know, we can't even keep America great because of everybody being so polarized, but we want to fix the rest of the world. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. We're still supposed to be the world's leader. I believe that what WWE is doing is complicated. I think that it is so layered in what's right and wrong. people were looking for the wrong, and potentially myself included. We want to criticize that the women can't compete there, and I agree with you. I'm so happy Renee got to do announcing there. But those same people that are criticizing are the ones that are still saying New Japan is so much better than WWE. Okay, then are you watching Stardom too? Because if you're not watching Stardom and you're only watching New Japan Pro and you're criticizing WWE about not having women's matches, you're a fucking hypocrite. Time to look in the mirror, old man. Mm-hmm. So I think this is where, for me, listen, I don't like the fact that we don't the answer in this country and the answer in this country to violence is more guns. Schools, put more guns there. Churches, put more guns there. Mosques, put more guns there. But we expect WWE to change an entire culture. It's not. It's. We're being so superficially trivial to try and bash a company for attempting to. Yeah, they're making their money. Let's not put blinders on. But if there might be little bits and pieces where this could lead to social change, and I'm not saying we have to agree with it or even feel great about it. But I'll say this: what if the Beatles never came to America? Man? What if it was 2018 and the Beatles said, you know what, I don't like what's going on right now over there with shootings, with this, with that. That's not a piece. You know what? We're going to boycott America until they can figure themselves out. How would we so wouldn't we want, and then I guess, and I know that's an extreme example, but when you think about the British invasion, you think about the Beatles, and you think, just think about if that, how do you think other developed countries think about our treatment of the LGBT community, immigrants, women? And I know I keep saying this, but it's crazy to think that we are this flawless country that doesn't have any problems, but we're gonna boycott a wrestling promotion. Never mind the foods that you eat. You have no idea where everything that you consume. You have no idea where their money goes. But just because it was a little bit more. And listen, and especially with the Kill journalists, I understand. I had a lot of mixed emotions about this show. But the end of the story for me was, if I were a Saudi, what's going on in the political realm would have nothing to do with me. I don't feel the Saudi Arabian people should be scapegoats for what's going on with the hierarchy. And I think to say that they don't deserve a show is us not trying to be the world leaders that we are. So I'm actually, I'm not saying that I think that what WWE is doing, as much as people don't like it, I do think it is doing more good than bad. And just like, so if we want to play favorites, we could criticize every company out there. I just listed 3 companies that you could criticize for that. WWE, absolutely. Ring of Honor with the Sinclair company. You guys hate WWE just because Linda's in Trump's cabinet. I'm not saying I like it, but at the same time, it's something that you hear people complain. It's ad nauseum. It's still complain about Ring of Honor being with Sinclair. You're not, so you're a hypocrite. You watch New Japan, you don't watch Stardom, you're a hypocrite. If you complain about WWE not having women's matches. So let's take the mirrors out. Let's stop. Let's do the Daley Stop. And let's take a deep breath the next time we want to get on our little podiums there. And with that, I pass it back to you, good sir.
Fantastic job, Brother Joseph. That was pretty cool. We're going to do this as a weekly feature. It's going to be different topics, depending what's going through the Clown Prince's mind. Maybe you don't want to enter that world right now. But
it's going to be wild. It's going to be, listen, it's going to be comedy mixed with, it's going to be a whole different, I've been taking notes. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah, so, yeah, it was pretty cool. I agree with everything you said there, brother. And one thing I wanted to add to that, the most thing that's getting covered right now is the merits of questioning from reporters to our president, as opposed to another mass shooting going on and some of the issues he brought up earlier. So again,
it's funny.
The United States is the last place to act like we're morally correct, because we're not.
Everyone says never here, but there's history books where leaders have taken the media, the free press, out of circulation. And things didn't end well for a lot of people. Conversely, when people say, "Oh, it can never happen here," it's just because you think it can't doesn't mean it can. Rome fell too.
Right.
Just like we never thought we'd see in tournament camps here, right? Ask any of your Japanese friends.
The last thing I wanted to bring up from Crown Jewel was Brock Lesnar winning the championship. I think that was probably the biggest thing that got vitriol from this show this past Friday, besides Hulk Hogan. We talked about this last weekend. I got to give you credit for this, and it's whether it's you like it or not as a wrestling fan, from a wrestling fan point of view, business is business, and Brock Lesnar is the Universal Champion. Daniel Cormier, after his fight this past Saturday, after destroying Derek Lewis in record time, by the way, on pay-per-view this past Saturday night, he goes on the mic and says, "Bring your championship with you. Maybe I want to be a WWE champion." So, a business decision. I thought it was interesting. Rollins played to the internet crowd on Monday saying that Brock winning the titles has been the face to Roman and all the fans and this and that. But and I'm not going to come here and recycle old thoughts on my feelings on Brock Lesnar. You guys know that. The weekly listeners to the show knows how I feel about the Brock Lesnar character and this and that. But business is business, and Brock's going to be on the show this Monday. Brock's fighting AJ Styles for the second year in a row at Survivor Series. He is the Universal Champion, and something I realized after watching Friday and Monday, there's only so much you can do with Braun Strowman. I like Braun Strowman just as much as anybody else likes Braun Strowman, but you, as a character and as a champion, I don't see it happening. I mean, Big Show was champions for a month or 2 months here and there. Mark Henry was a champion for a couple months here and there. Kane, the same things. When you have those type of characters in that type of size, they're not having long title reigns. Sometimes they don't even get titles at all. Hey, Andre the Giant was never a WWE champion before.
Wow, yeah, that's a stat right there. When you really think about that, and we could say this, and that's neither was Kurt Hennig, neither was Rick Rude,
Roddy
Piper, Ted DiBiase. Well, he kind of maybe stole-ish one, but the day
yeah,
he had a much better title anyway. You know what, man? This is I don't want to say this is what I was afraid of, because ultimately it's not my business and I don't own stock, although I would love to. This is kind of why last week I was sold that Lesnar was walking out of champ. I had a feeling, and
the writing was on the wall.
The writing was on the wall. I don't think it's anything against Strowman though either. I think that they just in a way maybe have to reestablish him back as more of a baby face, because they just got him where they had the big heel turn. Then Roman had to go away for a bigger battle, and now we're kind of looking at just with the shuffling of the deck, maybe they just have to let it settle for a while. Maybe this is something where they could build Braun back up and get that momentum back up again towards like WrestleMania or something. Because I still love my Strowman moment of the week. And when it comes to the universe, I just am looking at what WWE thinks of the Universal Championship. I think Braun would be better suited for the WWE Championship first, because if they're eventually going to get this title off of Lesnar, which they're going to do again, they want it, in my opinion, which doesn't mean shit, but I would think that they want it to be their flag bearer. You know what I mean? So whomever it's going to be next. Now, I don't think Braun is your flag bearer yet. Is he your WWE champion? Absolutely. Is he your Universal champion? Because that's what's going to be their main title. I don't know. I think he's good. I think he will be one day, just not yet. Like you said, on those off occasions, like Kane had him and Big Show had titles, and that kind of thing I can see.
Right. Just looking back at the situation,
which is still collecting
now,
titles. Everybody, yeah, that's the thing. Don't get that twisted. We're saying, well, he might have a couple titles. That's still a couple more titles than I'll ever have.
Yeah, or any of us. So, looking back at Braun Strowman, and I saw some things on Monday, and they're like, oh, here we go. The traditional Braun Strowman breaks stuff backstage. What else does he do?
Well, that's a big guy trait anyway, right? Yeah, I mean, when you got a big body guy out there, that's their shtick no matter who it is, right?
Yeah, like fake makeout with Alexa Bliss. That's the only other character trait this dude has.
For his character doesn't need that much depth though either, and he's supposed to be that, like, it's almost like Harper and Rowan. Like, I hate to keep pulling out like Wyatt family members, but
life beaters. Yep.
Like, but they're like Kane always had that good, Kane didn't have to be one way or didn't necessarily have to be too over the top one way or two. He could always be kind of steady and I don't want to say boring, but he always kind of was just a slight variation of the same character, right? Yeah. And I just feel like that's like what Braun could be like versus somebody that kind of goes all over the spectrum. I think they know what they got in Braun, and but man, who knows? Listen, we're sitting here. Who knows? In 2 years, this dude might be starring in movies for all we know. Anything is possible, and it's and you never know what can happen. And who would have thought? So it's you never want to say one thing or another. That's where I think as podcasters and even just as fans, that's when we start to really sound like overly smarkish. Because we sit back and we talking about, stuff that we really have no idea what they're planning. For all we know, they could be putting the title on Strowman like next month. And we're sitting here going, yeah, didn't really, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. I always kind of take that stuff into consideration too.
The prime of Kane, look at this, 1998, the prime of Kane, he won the title from Stone Cold Steve Austin and lost it the next night on Monday Night Raw. Just think about that. The prime of Kane's popularity as a character during that Attitude Era, he lost the title literally the next night.
Yeah, that was a 24-hour deal there.
Yeah. or a 3-hour thing. No, it wasn't 3 hour. It was a 1.5 hour thing with Rey Mysterio when he won the tournament, and then John Cena won in the main at that same show.
Right. And Kane cashed in on. I bet somebody had the title for a while. It's not like they wanted that. Right? Okay.
Yeah, he won it at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view 2010 and cashed in the Mysterio the same show.
Right.
Yeah. So. Go looking back at Raw, I thought Corbin was great at the beginning. I know everybody's disappointed to not see me wrestle at Survivor Series. I thought that was pretty funny. I thought Corbin did very well with his shtick at the beginning of the show on Monday. The Manchester crowd was good as usual. Always love UK crowds. Alexa Bliss looked amazing in her business attire. She's going to be captain for the women's Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series team. And Corbin and Alexa were kind of like pitching their own case to be the next general manager of Raw. Kurt Angle comes out. He's getting popped from everybody. Angle calls Corbin an embarrassment to Monday Night Raw. Angle challenged Corbin to a match. Corbin accepts eventually. Braun Strowman comes out. And at a moment there, I thought, okay, if Alexa Bliss has that much power over Braun Strowman, she would tell him to stop at a moment's notice. I thought there'd be something interesting to put that out there, but we're not bringing mixed match challenge storylines to Raw or SmackDown, so that's fine. By the way, I hope Alexa Bliss comes back soon because I miss covering her matches. I actually enjoy her as a wrestler. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, she is a pretty solid wrestler, even though some people have a vendetta against her, which is kind of silly. They announced a lot of stuff for Survivor Series on Monday, so we know it's going to be Ziggler, McIntyre, and Strowman as the three guys from Raw. SmackDown, you got Bryan, Miz, Shane McMahon, Rey Mysterio, and Samoa Joe. So SmackDown's already filled. So SmackDown got those guys filled. We'll figure out the other two on Monday. I said it was going to be either Finn Balor with Bobby Lashley or somebody else will pop in between those two guys. So the men's Survivor Series match. By the way, let me ask you this since we're on the topic. What do you think about the Raw versus SmackDown matches like they've been doing the last 2 years now, where it's United States champion versus Intercontinental champion? We got Nakamura and Rollins this year. You have the bar against the Authors of Pain. We called that last week. So congratulations to AOP, new Raw Tag Team Champions. But hey, NXT guys don't get opportunities.
Never.
Never. Yeah, AOP taking on the bar, and then we got Becky and Ronda. I heard some people say that Ronda and Becky could main event the show.
Becky Lynch is hands down the top guy. She's the man. She's far and away right now. It's not close.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, here's a couple things before I get into kind of like what they set up on Raw and with Survivor Series and stuff like that. Two quick things I want to take away. One, Elias just had like everybody eating out of his hands, and I mean just straight out of his palm. So the way that he kicked in the Seven Nation Army, like what he recognizing what the crowd's doing, kicks in the Seven Nation Army so that they could chant along with it. That's brilliance. That's awareness. That's why they need somebody like him around. You know what I mean? Like he is an amazing thing. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Big Wavy, Roy Johnson. I see you on Raw. I saw you. I see you. And that better not be your last appearance on Monday Night Raw either. So everybody follow Roy Johnson, on Twitter. Right now he's wrestling in South England, all over the UK, all over England right now, or Europe. I'm sorry, collecting titles and cashing checks. So it was nice to see him on the screen. So shout out to my boy. But to Survivor Series stuff, yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool. But listen, Survivor Series stuff, Becky and Ronda, to me, I know I'm gonna maybe catch a lot of heat for this one, but this is actually the first Rousey match. I've enjoyed everything Rousey's done, and I'm really looking forward to all of her matches, especially the mixed tag match at Mania, all of her singles matches. This is a match that I'm salivating over. You know what I mean? Like I've always liked Becky the most out of the four horsewomen. I'm a big Ronda fan. Like I love how, she's caught on so quick. This match to me is the main event, whether it's in the main event slot or not. That's how I'm going in. I love, we were talking about it last week, cause Sam tends to not like the fact that it's, they're calling it, last woman standing. And I love that they're kind of going back and forth between this. I love that, one's the baddest bitch and one's, no, that's fine. I'm the man, and there's something real, it's something to just see. It gives it such a real, visceral feeling, it just gives it that extra bite that not that it necessarily needed. But Becky's character right now Ronda needed that character that wasn't Nikki Bella to really stand up and be like, I'm not afraid of you, and have us all buy into it. And I can't wait for this match. I really can't.
Mm-hmm. Becky's in deep tunnel vision mode. Anything that comes her way, social media or character wise. She's like, I'm the man, I'm the champ, I'm this and that, and it's awesome. So I'm happy for her.
I am too. We'll talk about SmackDown in a second because there's a moment on SmackDown that really was very, very welcome here in the Daley household. But as far as the rest of the stuff goes, I don't mind it because I feel like Survivor Series not that it's starting to get stale, but they needed to do something because, we talked about it all the time that even Money in the Bank felt like more of a big four than Survivor Series now. So at least this gives it and I know Bragging Rights was a gimmicky type pay-per-view, but it was one that I kind of dug, I think that the only thing that people might, the fans might not like about this pay-per-view is that we're obviously not going to see any title changes. Because it's going to be champion versus champion and, for all those kind of things. And sometimes, not that we need, titles to change hands because this is more of a special occasion. Get all your big names on the card. It's still nice to have the occasional title change happen on a pay-per-view, And so when going in that there's no titles changing hands, I think sometimes that takes, for some fans, not for you or I or for, but for some fans, that's going to take away a little bit of the what could happen because people love to see it's just people love to see titles change hands. Whether or not I know people complain when they do hot potato, but as much as people complain, they love to see title changes. That's why people pop all the time when a title changes hands. So I guess that but knowing going in that no titles are going to change hands, they're setting up the proper matches for it. When you look at Brock versus AJ Styles, yeah, all day. Becky Charlotte, yep. I'm sorry, Becky Ronda, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. You're matching up, the tag team matches. Nakamura Rollins is an amazing matchup to me as far as that goes. So we'll see. We'll see what else they have in store for us as far as cross branding rivalries and stuff. But I don't know. I dig it. I fear that maybe certain fans aren't going to dig it, and they'll blame it on. I don't like that it's Raw versus SmackDown, when really it's because they know that no title can change hands. I think that's going to be there's going to be a lot of misdirected hostility, and I think that is probably what it's going to be. I don't know. What do you think? Is that
misdirected hostility is like the best way to describe every night of pay-per-views going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every night.
It's Twitter. No, that's what Twitter. It's Twitter's theme song should be misdirected hostility by 311 because that's all it is.
Yeah. I learned something new each week. We do this show. I like that. I'm going to use that going forward. That's pretty good. That's what it is in a nutshell. Doesn't matter what show it on. It's misdirected hostility. I wanted to say this really quick before we go to SmackDown. The stuff with Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins continued to pick up more steam. I was talking about this the other day with Jeremy at the shop, and we're bringing back old school, keeping people on their toes. Ambrose was about to say why he attacked Seth Rollins, but he didn't. He just did the dirty deeds on him and walked away. Still has that scowl on his face. They're stretching this out, and we'll see how much this continues to go forward. Rollins is like backstage after the show's over. He's like, I'm done trying to play the sympathy card. I'm just going to beat answers out of him. So I don't know if they'll get to a brawl on Monday or not, but I like how they're stretching this thing out with Ambrose and Rollins. Again, the Graves and Renee Young dynamic is amazing on Monday Night Raw, especially when it comes to this angle per se. And I like what's going on with the Rollins and Ambrose stuff.
I love how vague they're still being with Rollins and Ambrose, and especially Renee Young. And listen, people aren't going to like the reference, and I know coming from me, this is going to be a very typical Adam Daley kind of reference here. But I don't want to say the wrestling bubble has kind of always compared Dean Ambrose to Joker. That's just fact. Let's just get that out there, right? I love that even, when they asked Renee about it the other day, and she was just kind of like, I don't know, I'm trying, I've never seen this side, but it's just almost like, in a way, it wasn't fully sincere what she was saying, though. Maybe it was, maybe, I don't know, maybe maybe they're playing it that she doesn't know, but I'd love to see. I know, guys. Whatever. It's just me, and it's because I'm a fan of I'm a fan of these style of characters. But I'd almost love to see her just one day just snap, like we were talking about, and she almost becomes like the Harley Quinn to his Joker, and he becomes that lunatic that we've always wanted him to be. Like not John Moxley, but like what WWE could do. Like almost like when he first came in with the Shield, but but a little more sadistic, and have like Renee, even come down to the ring with him. Leave the announce table. They could do. There's so many opportunities for them to do unique things where she could just ditch the announce table for his matches and come back when it's over. Just be like, you think I'm you think I'm gonna sit here and do commentary when my husband's down there? I'll go down there with my husband. It's maybe they don't have to do that, but it's just right now I feel like there's so many opportunities. It's what's making this rivalry a hell of a lot of fun for me.
I know.
What do you think?
I can see that happening. I'm waiting for the moment where Ambrose starts going into the deep dialogue. Just like from long-term storytelling perspectives, I want to see that moment to happen. I'm not rushing it. When that moment happens, I'm going to be at the edge of my seat to see how he conducts himself while going into the dialogue and stuff. So that's what I'm looking forward to with those guys. My main takeaway for Raw this week, all Survivor Series stuff away from the show, was Drew McIntyre getting to close out the show with Kurt Angle and making Angle tap out to his own move in the main event. If that's not getting a rub from a Hall of Famer and a part-time performer, I don't know what is. Because how many times have we come here on this show or other shows and talk about, the young guys don't get opportunities to main event or beat the part-time performers and this and that. I thought McIntyre stock went like as high as it possibly can Monday night, and the fact that he got to close out the show with Kurt Angle, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did too. And I'm a big McIntyre guy. I've always been. I make no bones about it. I'm really happy they're seeing, I don't want to say that they're seeing what, he busted his ass and worked his ass to get back into better shape than he's ever been. And rather than kind of being handed something like he was before, I'm kind of glad he kind of had to get let go, cut that 13-14 promo that he cut over in ICW over in Scotland. And then, cause from there, it was just like, he was like a locomotive that just never stopped. And dude, it's so good to see him. And like you said, main eventing a Raw, getting that time slot against a Hall of Famer like that. Yeah, that's, I wouldn't say passing of the torch because they're different styles of wrestlers, but that is definitely legitimizing and solidifying that Drew McIntyre is a part of WWE's plans going forward. You know what I mean? Like if we had any questions about where his placement on the card was, that was them letting us know, knock, knock. He's a main eventer. And he's going to be lingering around the main that upper card. So, am I going to say that they're going to throw a championship on him right now? I'm not saying that. But Seth Rollins is a main eventer and he's an IC champ. So, you see what I'm saying, Josh? Like there's just I think that was them establishing like, listen, pay attention to McIntyre because he is going to be one of our future stars. And speaking of, before we get right back into McIntyre, I just as I'm scrolling through, something came up. Linkin Park's video for "Numb." Everybody loves "Numb." Everybody sings "Numb." It's one of the greatest songs that just passed 1 billion views on YouTube. It's a news thing that just came up for me. So that's actually pretty impressive.
That's pretty dope.
So.
Really quick for SmackDown this week, I thought Mandy Rose in her segment where they're not announcing the female performers for the Survivor Series match, I thought that was pretty cool. So just to catch up everybody for this the women's side, we got Charlotte. I don't know if Charlotte's going to be in there because she's been kind of salty the last couple weeks over her loss to Becky. So I don't know if she's trying to play I'm a Flair, so I'm above this type of match, type of storyline. I don't know if that's the case or not. But Paige said it's going to be Charlotte, Asuka, Naomi, Sonya Deville, and Carmella representing SmackDown in the women's match. There's nobody announced yet for the Raw side. I thought Ruby Riott got herself some heat with breaking the Anvil's glasses during that match this past Monday. So, yeah.
She did? Or no, those weren't even his glasses, were they? That was a prop.
I'm going with the storyline here.
Let's keep kayfabe alive. We'll keep kayfabe. She got heat.
Yeah, she got heat.
Mega heat. The Riot Squad's out of control.
I'm pretty sure we'll see Sasha Bailey in there, some incarnation of that in there. So, but I really thought Mandy Rose stood out, not because of her looks, but just the stuff she was saying on the mic.
Fantastic promo.
Yeah, I thought she did a really good job in that segment, and she's like, what did she say about Naomi? Did she bring up Jimmy Uso? Is that why they?
Yeah, that was a little stiff, huh?
Yeah, I know she said something about Carmella's Titanate or whatever. Carmella's like, at least I got one.
Well, you know what? And here's the thing too. We were just talking last week about, or maybe it was the week before about, should they talk about their significant others? Are they overdoing it? People, that's a conversation that might be out in the echo chamber somewhere. Yeah, absolutely, they should. Look how much it added to that. It just sometimes it adds that little extra bite to a segment, to a promo. It's just something that can really set a segment off. So yeah, the more that they can blur the lines, the better. I just don't think people like being fooled, man.
I got a suggestion for everybody. Check out the Mixed Match Challenge this week. It was the Fabulous Truth against Team Day One Glow. It was awesome. It's a short match. There's barely any wrestling in it. Just watch it. I think
was it all dance breaks?
There was a rap battle in there as well.
Jesus. Oh my God, man.
Jimmy in there, he was like, I don't know, should I bring this to the same battle I brought to the New Day? I was like, oh, we need to get into that right now.
One thing that I do want to say that because I keep forgetting to bring it up, and I just forgot to bring it up last week. But back from Evolution, outfit of the year, Zelina Vega's Joker outfit. Hands down, you're not going to change my mind. Not anything anybody is going to wear the rest of the year. She gets my vote for Ring Gear of the Year.
Slammy? She gets
the Slammy. Slammy for Ring Gear of the Year. The Halloween edition of the Joker style.
I think manager might be a category this year. Maria's back with Mike Kanellis on 205 Live, which is pretty cool. Mike is doing a very good job on 205 Live.
Fantastic.
I don't know what TJP's obsession with masks are, but I mean, most people from California are fake, so I guess there's
That's
something.
Harsh. That was vicious. Jeez.
Just keeping it 100, folks. Who else? So Leo Rush. I found this very interesting. They put a muzzle on him because I haven't heard him say Lashley. They put a muzzle on that boy.
I noticed it during Crown Jewel, and I thought maybe it was just for Crown Jewel. They wanted to tone him down a little bit. I didn't notice it on Raw because I was kind of like fast forward, you know what I mean? But Crown Jewel was definitely noticeable, and I just didn't know if it was because he was surrounded by the some elites or but yeah.
Lashley.
Yo, Leo Rush though, that song he did with Timberlake called "Dead and Gone" was good though.
That's a good one. I got there was some news last night about Survivor Series. It's going to be Buddy Murphy against Mustafa Ali as Survivor Series for the Cruiserweight title. I'm looking for that match. As a guy who transcribes long wrestling matches, that one's going to be a barn burner. Just like the one you saw with Cedric Alexander at Super Showdown, these two are going to kill it. Shout out to Mustafa Ali, Chicago's very own, and a former Chicago police officer as well. So I'm excited for this match. I'm a big Mustafa Ali fan, and Buddy Murphy's awesome as well. So that's going to be pretty cool.
That will be cool. And I just saw on Pro Wrestling Tees that there's a Marty Scurll Villain Club hoodie that's on sale for half off. And I know when I get paid tomorrow what I'm buying. So I need a Villain Club hoodie. Like that I'll wear that 12 months out of the year. Yeah.
It's too bad that Suzuki and Ishii don't sell merchandise. They just sell forearms and concussions.
Yeah.
They had a one-on-one match this past Saturday at their Power Struggle show, and I thought one of them were going to die. Like, I don't know how can somebody take that many forearms to the face in one match. That match was almost 20 minutes long, too. Especially with the way those two wrestle. Jesus Christ. So going back to SmackDown, I thought it was interesting. AJ Styles was doing his Paul Heyman impression, saying he's providing the spoiler this time that AJ Styles will beat Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series. My favorite part from SmackDown this week was Nakamura. He's like, I got a special gift for Seth Rollins. I know his heart is broken with Dean Ambrose, but my gift for him is a knee to face. And just the smile he had and the way he was laughing, it was gold. Nakamura's gift for Seth Rollins is a special knee to face.
It's gonna be an interesting match. Only because I wish they would stop with the knee to face stuff too. They want the fans to like forget about things, and it's like they're trying to just rewrite history just to rewrite it. But yeah, I don't know, man. The whole Rollins Nakamura match, I think it's going to be dealing more with Dean Ambrose doing run-ins.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, I'll never pass on the New Day Usos match. Those guys kill it every single time they're in the ring with each other.
Dude, they had such a good match the other night.
Like, you look at guys from the past that had good chemistry with each other, like Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero, or The Rock and Austin. Like, matches. No, let me change that. Like, Austin and Bret Hart, for example. Like, just from technical wrestling stuff like that. The Rockers and the Hart Foundation. Mr. Perfect, Bret Hart. By the way, I'm not a big Bret Hart mark, so don't go after me. It's just stuff that's come out the top of my head. And hey, Bret Hart was one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time. It is what it is. I know some people are getting mad about this too. I thought Jericho and Benoit had good matches back then. They had
fantastic matches.
Yeah.
Amazing. They had a 2 out of 3 falls match, I think, at a Survivor Series or the pay-per-view before Survivor, or SummerSlam, or maybe it was the pay-per-view before, because I think SummerSlam Jericho and Triple H had a last man standing match. But
I always remember the ladder match they had at the Rumble.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That was excellent too. Excellent. Man, they had some good ones.
2001, yes.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
2001, yep. So New Day and Usos always got great chemistry. So they're actually going to have a tag team Survivor Series elimination match. So there's 3 of them on the show. Let's see. We got those 3: Ronda, Becky, Brock, AJ, The Bar, AOP, and Buddy Murphy and Mustafa Ali. So we got 7 matches for Survivor Series. It's a week from this Sunday. We'll make our predictions for that show coming up a week from Sunday.
It's so quick. That's one thing. I think that there's been too many events. Yeah, I don't want to say there's been too many because, again, it's about how you consume it. And, you don't have to consume it. But it does seem like it's been rapid fire. But for me, the high point of SmackDown, absolutely, again, I loved Miz and Bryan's chemistry. Thought that was awesome. Listen, Becky Lynch right now she is what she says she is. She's the man. And finally, we get Nikki Cross's debut. Finally. That was awesome. That was a big moment here in the Daley house.
I'm a big Nikki Cross fan. Besides Aleister Black, she's my favorite performer on NXT. I'm so happy for her too. The match she got good match time with Becky as well. It wasn't some quick match here and there and see you later.
Right.
I don't know if Nikki Cross could be on there every single week. Maybe it's just something because they're in the UK. They want
about that.
Everybody. But we'll see what happens. I think Nikki Cross has a bright future for her. She's awesome.
And you know what I like about this is if they don't keep her up, and she still stays at NXT, they can bring her into the Rumble, and we already know who she is, right? Maybe they'll keep her up because she was on the stage for the Evolution announcement. She was one of the visible NXT. They kind of put her right in front. But I look at it this way too, Josh. I was kind of thinking about this. What Becky, in a way, did, without saying it's what it was she just did the John Cena United States Open Challenge.
Yeah, that's true.
Like when Sami Zayn would answer the call, or Kevin Owens would answer the call, or you know what I mean? And that's how you make superstars, And now they can start doing that. And I think Becky is the man that could sit there every week and say, you know what? The champ does feel like fighting tonight. Get somebody out here. And it could be somebody different every week. And what she's doing by being this crushing heel is really helping put this younger talent over. I think Nikki Cross absolutely made a name for herself the other night, brother. I think the match was fantastic. The way she was grabbing the mic, mannerisms. She was going to connect with that crowd anyway. But I really think that she's going to connect with domestically here in North America. I think she's going to connect with the fans big time. I think she's going to be a big part of the women's division very soon.
Really quick, NXT, before we get into our final shenanigans and get out for the week.
I'm afraid.
We got NXT TakeOver War Games going to be the night before Survivor Series in Los Angeles this year. So the people in LA are going to get their Big 4 weekend, if you will, get their enjoyment out there at the Staples Center. The Lakers are not doing that much, even though LeBron James makes them instant title contenders, I guess. So the War Games, the pay-per-view we got. So Kairi Sane is invoking her rematch, so she's going to fight Shayna Baszler. This is going to be the last match they have with each other for the women's title. Candice LeRae might fight Nikki Cross because this whole thing with Johnny Gargano turning heel. Candice is kind of blaming Nikki Cross for that in a way, so this is letting you know what's been going on with NXT,
Gotcha.
brother.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm real behind on that.
Yeah. Johnny Gargano's fighting Aleister Black, so that's going to be an awesome match. We got the War Games match. We got Undisputed Era against Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and the War Raiders. I call them War Machine. That's I always remember
that was their name, right?
Yeah, War Machine. But we got Tommaso Ciampa putting his title on line against the Velveteen Dream. So those are the big matches going into NXT TakeOver War Games. I wanted to read this really quick from Aleister Black because Johnny Gargano was kind of...
I love Aleister Black.
Johnny Gargano's kind of trying to play some reverse psychology with the people where he's like, I'm not the bad guy here, I'm the good guy. So it's trying to turn the tables on Aleister Black. So this is Aleister Black's response on Instagram. The truth. Feeding people something comfortable that he knows you will get behind. Johnny does the same exact thing the media does to distract you from what is really going on. And some of you are actually buying it. He wouldn't lie to you, then why did it take Nikki Cross ratting him out for him to speak the truth? I know what you really fear, John. More than anything, you fear losing your adoration, your fear of being alone. That's why you're feeding them this. So you like being in the darkness. You couldn't even handle being upfront when talking about being upfront. So you're putting your hoodie up like some moody teenager. Doesn't make you dark. Moody teenager doesn't make you dark. It makes you a dork. But I understand, John. I understand that someone who's mentally frail needs all these crutches to feel better about themselves. You didn't send a message to your beloved fans. You needed to record and hear the words you said out loud so you could convince your own ego, because deep down inside, that little bleep of doubt you feel, John, at one point won't be able to ignore and push that down. But at the point that it's already too late and you are all alone, and represent will fade out and it'll simply fade to black.
Nice. Now he posted that where?
Instagram, and this was Johnny Gargano's response an hour ago. This is short. Ouch. He called me a dork. You're finally showing your true colors. You're not just self-entitled, but you're also a bully. Do you see what we're dealing with here, the NXT universe? He's not the hero you deserve. # be a star.
Jeez, that's good. That's good.
I like what's going on with these guys. By the way, Tommaso Ciampa trolling in the background and be like, I knew you had it in you, Johnny. I'm so proud of you.
Go ahead.
Like you're saying, it's like, I don't hate Gargano. I hate Johnny Wrestling for what it stands for. And now Ciampa's like bringing back old DIY pictures on Instagram and stuff. It's pretty funny.
I appreciate that they're using Instagram a lot more too. I noticed that Becky and Ronda are using it a lot too. Because I don't know. I hate Twitter so much. I'd rather it be on Instagram. So I appreciate the fact that they're doing this. Plus, Instagram gives you enough room that you could actually really type out a small promo, and they could just keep going back and forth. And we've talked about this for a while now, that they're really starting to, not that they haven't figured it out before, but they're really, really hitting a stride when it comes to utilizing social media the right way to advance characters and storylines. You know what I mean? Like they're getting really good at always telling. It's a continuous story now. It's like every day they're telling the story. When Raw ends, Raw continues now. You know, and that's not a bad thing. It really isn't. It's not a bad thing. It's nice to kind of just scroll through my Instagram timeline. I only follow I don't know, maybe 5 accounts on there or something. But
yeah, do you think that helps? Do you think it helps because it's a taped show and you get intertwine the feud on social media while you're waiting for the next episode?
You mean as far as like what they're doing?
I feel like they have a lot of advantages for telling their stories before takeovers because their show's already taped. They know where the story's going.
So with NXT, okay, yeah, right, okay. I'm sorry, I thought you meant WWE as a whole, but just NXT. Okay, yeah, absolutely. There's advantages because then you can go in and it helps you. You know, when you're taping week to week, live show to live show, you kind of only get that one shot to think like, okay, you go in that night thinking, okay, it's a Wednesday. You know, I gotta. How do I keep this feud going on social media? What do I want to go at her with, or go at him with, or that kind of stuff. But at NXT, you know kind of how the story's already being played out. You know how the fans have reacted to the story in-house. So you kind of can use that as leverage when you're writing your story outside of it. See what I mean? And again, you have more time so that you've already got that crowd feel to base it off of versus kind of that unknown. But that's why that's developmental versus Raw and SmackDown. And not that it's a bad thing. It's a great, and I always have to say that because people think it's like me taking a shot at something, and it's not. It's the truth of and reality of how both things can be equally beautiful. You know what I mean? And maybe in a way this shows too that it's not about a show being pre-taped or not. I stay off of social media, so I don't even really see, like I said, I catch certain things, and I really don't even catch NXT stuff on social media. It's just more, main roster stuff. But yeah, man, I just think overall everyone's killing it. NXT, Raw, SmackDown, men, women, you name it.
Right.
That's that dead space I left intentionally. I thought you were going to spit the water out. Just I thought I was going to hear time to play the game. But you guys can't see it. Josh was taking a big drink of water, and I was getting ready for a Triple H spit or something.
I don't know if you could tear your pec while spitting out water. I don't know if that's possible.
Nah, I think he should be good that way. When did he tear his pec?
I think when Kane set him over the turnbuckle, he fell on the floor.
Yeah.
He took a Ric Flair bump to the outside, I think. Something like that.
It shows though, man. That's when you love it, you love it.
Well, I guess something I noticed is like every time you have like a serious injury, your skin turns different colors now.
Yeah. Yeah, that picture was wicked looking. Yeah. Holy cow, man.
That didn't look like fun. Finn Balor put a picture of him in his surgery bed.
That's actually how I found out. I had no idea, and then I was like, "Why is Triple H in a hospital bed?"
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for everybody's favorite game. It's called This Time Next Week. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to wrap things up here on the podcast. This time next week, we'll figure out if Le'Veon Bell will actually play a football game this season.
Oh, interesting. This time next week, I would have listened to Muse's new album, Simulation Theory, that debuts tonight at midnight on Google Play Music, record stores, if they still have record stores. Go to Sam Goody, National Record Mart, wherever the hell you get music. Pick this up, because next time this week, I would have listened to their new album probably about 374 times.
Yes.
Roughly.
This time next week, I'm going to make sure to watch the Bohemian Rhapsody movie. I want to go see that.
Well played. This time next week, we'll once again be talking about something Pete Davidson said irrationally on Saturday Night Live that got him in trouble yet again.
This time next week, I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to watch the Bears game and Survivor Series at the same time.
I think this time next week, the Raiders just get to start drafting, right? Because at this point, I mean, can't we just start drafting?
Trips, right?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to have the entire first round of draft picks, I think so. I think we're starting from scratch.
You go on Twitter, you'll probably see like reports of Raiders scouts at like an Alabama game or LSU or Notre Dame, something like that.
Man, I have no clue when it comes to college sports.
I don't watch college football, but being an NFL fan, I follow a lot of beat reporters, and they always post reports of Bears scouting players at different colleges and stuff. Mm-hmm. And you're doing your job. You're
do it all year round. Yeah, man, do it all year round.
Right. This time next week, I am going to look to see if we're actually going to have another Step Brothers movie.
This time next week, we are unfortunately going to be talking about another mass shooting in this country, like we're talking about today, because, it's getting better.
Mm-hmm. This time next week, Cub fans will be salty because they won't get Bryce Harper in the offseason.
This time next week, I will still have forgotten that this year's baseball season even happened, let alone might even think it's still going on. Honestly, they were like, it's the World Series. I was like, wait, already? Then they were like, oh, it's the World Series. I'm like, I thought this season was over. Like, when it comes to baseball, I'm so out of it.
Oh, shit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's this time next week. And don't forget, this time next week, we will recap. No, we're not recap. We'll preview War Games, actually TakeOver War Games 2, and Survivor Series from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California. I'm very excited for the next couple of weeks as a Bears fan. This is a big time. I saw this stat the other day, and my heart almost fell down. Seeing the fact that the team was 6-25 in the last 4 years when it comes to division games makes me want to throw up, to be honest with you. These next 3 games will be very big as far as whether or not this team is for real or we got to wait till next year. But I am excited with the news that Mack and Robinson will play this week and they're fully healthy, so that's good news.
Pretty nice paycheck he's collecting to sit on the sidelines.
Last week you should last week he should have played, but they're saving him for this week.
Guys played Buffalo last week. Why the hell? I think I could have started against Buffalo and you guys would have won. What the? Out here.
I wanted you to look at something really quick. Leonard Floyd, when he had his pick six last week, he was dancing in the sidelines with Khalil Mack. He's jumping up and down, and the guy has ankle issues. They hold him out for this week's game.
Yeah, they weren't rushing him back. That's too much money to rush back.
Yeah, but this is big games. If you're going to be a playoff team, you got to win your playoff. You got to play your division games. It's just that simple. You got to take care of business. So we'll see what happens this weekend. But that's pretty much it, man. I mean, some of the football games have been entertaining. I thought the Saints-Rams game was pretty good last Sunday. We got the Panthers and Steelers tonight on Thursday Night Football. I don't know if Antonio Brown will play because he got caught speeding this morning. So we'll see what happens there.
What's going on in Steel City with that dude?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for checking out the show. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at NotoriousJoshi. Same thing goes for Adam at AdamDaley13. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. Check out the podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Check out ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I just finished season 4 of Lucha Underground last night. And also keeping you guys updated with the UK shows. So instead of doing 2 separate articles, I put both episodes that they dropped yesterday in one article. So you can go check out what's going on with the UK show. Pete Dunne had an awesome match with Danny Burch. And hopefully we can see the Wavy Boy on the UK shows coming up soon. So that'd be awesome. So for the Clown Prince, I'm Notorious Josh Lopez. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Never forget you're the director of your life story. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.